If you think Death Road is intense, wait until you see the Guoliang Tunnel Road in China. This isn't just a narrow mountain pass, it's a road carved by hand to solid rock. And not by engineers, but by a group of villagers who were tired of being cut off from the outside world. The tunnel runs through the Taihang Mountains in Henan Province, twisting along sheer cliffs with a vertical drop just inches away from the edge of your tires. The Guoliang Tunnel is barely wide enough for a single vehicle, and lighting? There's none. During daylight, sun filters in through irregularly cut side windows that double as openings to a straight drop down the mountain. At night, it's pitch black. The road is just over 3/4 of a mile long, with sharp turns and zero forgiveness. You won't find guardrails or any margin for error. The surface is bumpy and uneven, and if a vehicle approaches from the other side, you're stuck negotiating who's going to reverse first in a tunnel on a cliff. Rain makes the stones slick, and in foggy conditions, visibility is almost non-existent. Yet the tunnel remains active mostly by tourists who've heard the legends and want to see if it's really as terrifying as it sounds. Spoiler it is. You're constantly brushing against the tunnel walls on one side, and on the other there's just open air. And yet, just like with Bolivia's Death Road, there's a strange pull to this place. The fact that it even exists, carved with chisels and hammers in one of China's most rugged mountain ranges, makes it feel like a hidden level in some adventure video game, except there's no reset button if you mess up. If there's one road that's gained worldwide infamy for being absolutely insane, it's Bolivia's Yungas Road, better known by its nickname, Death Road. It's not some poetic exaggeration. This stretch of dirt and gravel, which winds from La Paz into the Amazon rainforest, has left thousands of vehicles teetering on the edge of oblivion. The road runs about 40 miles, hugging the side of the Cordillera mountain range. There are spots where the path narrows to just 10 feet wide, and yet cars, trucks, and yes, even buses have tried squeezing through. One wrong move? There's a vertical drop of over 1,800 feet, straight down into thick jungle. Guardrails. Forget it. This place doesn't even bother pretending to help you. Heavy fog rolls in without warning. Rain turns everything into a muddy slide. Waterfalls crash down right onto the road, turning blind corners into death traps. And then there are the stretches where rocks loosen and tumble, as if the mountains themselves are trying to shake you off. Despite all of this, the road was, until recently, a main route for locals. Can you believe that? Entire families relied on it daily. And even though a safer bypass has been built, Death Road hasn't exactly emptied out. It's now a magnet for thrill-seeking cyclists and daredevil travelers. Every day, dozens of riders try their luck, speeding down the same track that once devoured heavy trucks like a snake swallowing prey. But don't think this is just another tourist stunt. Emergency services are sparse, and once you're halfway in, turning back isn't always an option. Locals say the road has a mind of its own, calm one minute, chaos the next. Standing on one of the narrow ledges with the jungle yawning below and fog curling like smoke over the cliff, it feels like something out of Indiana Jones, or a bad dream you're somehow awake for. No set designers needed the danger. Here is very, very real. If you're still thinking of driving it, ask yourself, do you trust your brakes that much? From cliffs to crashing waves, the Guoliang Tunnel may be narrow and dark, but Norway's Atlantic Ocean Road is wide open to the sky, and that might be even worse. This series of bridges and causeways links a string of islands along Norway's west coast, winding through the open sea like a thread barely holding everything together. And when the weather turns, it doesn't just rain, the ocean attacks. Built through a zone known for its brutal storms, the Atlantic Ocean Road is constantly battered by wind and water. Waves slam against the bridges with such force that spray sometimes covers entire vehicles. The Storsesundit Bridge, the most famous stretch of the road, curves so steeply it's earned the nickname the Road to Nowhere. From certain angles, it actually looks like the bridge just ends mid-air. The biggest danger here isn't the height or the speed, it's the unpredictability. One minute it's calm and scenic, the next minute, gale force winds make your steering wheel feel loose in your hands. Some sections flood during storm surges, others become completely invisible under thick fog. There are warning signs, but no amount of signage prepares you for the experience of driving this road while the sea throws itself at your windshield. Unlike some of the more remote roads on this list, the Atlantic Ocean Road is surprisingly well maintained. But that doesn't make it safe, it just means it's always ready to test someone new. The surreal beauty of the landscape can trick you into letting your guard down, which is exactly when the next rogue wave decides to make your car part of the coastline. Coming off those crashing waters and into the mountains again, we're heading next to a road that mixes both altitude and danger, Zojila Pass, India's slippery road in the sky. Slippery. Leaving the wet winds of Norway behind, we go higher, much higher. Zojila Pass isn't just a road. It's a thread of mud, gravel, and snow clinging to the Himalayas at over 11,000 feet. Located in India's Ladakh region, this route connects Srinagar to Leh, and it's one of the only lifelines through the mountains for months out of the year. When the pass is open, it's chaos. When it's closed, entire regions are cut off. What makes Zojila terrifying isn't just its altitude, it's everything else. The road is carved along steep cliffs with no real barriers. Heavy snow is common, even late into the year, and when it melts, the surface turns into a slippery mess. Landslides, avalanches, sudden rockfalls, all of it happens here. Drivers share the narrow track with military trucks, honking buses, and locals packed into jeeps. There's barely room for 2 vehicles to pass, and yet, somehow, traffic flows both ways. Visibility can drop in seconds as fog rolls in or clouds descend onto the road itself. Rain turns tight corners into skid zones. Despite all this, there are no lanes, no lights, and very few signs. Every turn feels like a guess: are you curving around the mountain or off it? The stakes are high, but for many it's just part of life. Convoys move supplies across it, and thrill seekers try their luck during the brief summer season when the pass is fully open. But this isn't a place to admire the view for too long. One distracted glance might be your last. And if the mountain decides it's time to shift, there's no warning, just a rumble and then silence. Zojila might be high and icy, but Fairy Meadows Road in Pakistan is pure madness, carved into rock and dirt. This road doesn't wind gently up a slope, it claws its way up the face of a mountain, often with less than a foot of clearance on either side. It's not paved, it's not marked. And if you want to drive it, you'll need nerves of steel and a very good reason. The road leads to a place called Fairy Meadows, a breathtaking alpine meadow beneath Nanga Parbat, the 9th highest mountain on Earth. But the only way up is this jeep track, which snakes through the mountains for around 7 miles of extreme terrain. There are sections where the road literally hangs off the edge. On one side, there's rock, on the other, a straight drop with nothing to stop a fall. No rail, no ditch, just air. During rainy weather, the dirt surface turns to mud, making the track even more unstable. Rocks can fall at any time. In places, the road narrows to a width where even a jeep struggles to pass. Turning around? Not an option. Most visitors let local drivers take the wheel, and even they admit this road isn't for the faint-hearted. It's not just the technical difficulty, it's the mental toll. The further you go, the tighter the road becomes. There are no brake areas, no pull-offs, and the mountains loom close enough to scrape your mirrors. Every engine noise echoes off stone walls. Every tire shift feels like a potential disaster. The reward at the end is stunning a tranquil meadow straight out of a painting. But many say the journey up is more intense than the view at the top. This isn't just a road, it's a tightrope stretched across a mountain, and every inch feels like a dare. Now we go to South America, where the road doesn't dangle off cliffs or fight the sea, it climbs to the sky. Abra Cay is part of Argentina's legendary Route 40, and it takes drivers up to nearly 16,400 feet. That's higher than many airplane cruising altitudes. Up here, the sky feels closer than the ground. The road itself is gravel, steep, and often surrounded by snow or wind-swept plains. There's little oxygen at this height, which doesn't just affect engines, it hits drivers too. Breathing gets harder, focus fades, and yet you're navigating a route full of tight bends, sudden drops, and no shoulder room. The air is thin, but the danger is thick. Unlike some mountain roads, there are very few visual warnings. The landscape is beautiful but deceptive. The colors of the rock and sky blend, making it hard to see where the edges really are. You can go from a clear day to snow flurries in minutes. Wind gusts hit like punches, especially in exposed sections of the pass. And cell signal? Forget it. Still, drivers come. Explorers, locals, adventurers, and people chasing something a little out of reach. The road's isolation is part of its pull. It feels untouched. A road that's dared people to conquer it, or just to get across it for generations. But every journey over Abra Cay is a risk. Your car might not like it. Your lungs might not like it. And if your brakes fail here, there's no margin for error. This isn't just a road to drive, it's a road to survive. and once you've made it over, you won't look at high altitude the same way again. In most cities, a highway is a place to escape the rain. In Houston, it's where the water goes. This city has some of the most flood-prone roads in the United States, and when storms hit, entire freeways vanish beneath rising water. The most notorious are the underpasses and sunken stretches of I-10, US 59, and the Hardy Toll roads that can transform into rivers in just hours. During major storm events, especially the kind that now hit more often, these highways turn into churning channels. What makes it more unsettling is that everything looks normal until it doesn't. You could be driving under an overpass and suddenly the road ahead has disappeared into brown, debris-filled floodwater. There are few things more surreal than watching a pickup truck floating where cars sped through just the day before. It's not just heavy rainfall, it's how the city is built. Much of Houston sits on flat, impermeable clay soil. Water doesn't soak in, it piles up. Add in a growing population, expanding pavement, and intense storms, and you've got a recipe for roads that drown. Drivers have been caught off guard again and again, with signs warning turn around, don't drown posted all over the city for a reason. Even when the water recedes, the danger doesn't go away. These floods leave behind damage that hides in plain sight, weakened pavement, sinkholes, and hidden debris. The roads might dry up, but their reputation sticks around. In Houston, when the forecast turns dark, locals know better than to trust that the road ahead is still there. Head to Hawaii's Big Island and you'll find a road that ends in a wall of lava. Literally. Chain of Craters Road runs through Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, and parts of it have been overtaken more than once by molten rock. It's one of the only roads in the world where the pavement just disappears under a hardened volcanic flow. The route starts off peaceful enough, winding past old lava fields and steaming vents. But as you descend toward the coast, you see the past meet the present in a way that's both beautiful and unsettling. The jagged black terrain stretches for miles, some of it still warm to the touch. And then the road just ends. Not because construction stopped, but because the Earth decided to claim it back. Over the years, eruptions from Kilauea volcano have wiped out entire sections. Maintenance crews sometimes reopen parts, only for the next lava flow to seal them shut again. Driving it feels like following the edge of a battlefield, a calm surface masking the chaos underneath. Fog drifts in from the ocean, volcanic gases swirl in the air, and the silence feels heavier than usual. You're driving through a reminder that this isn't your territory. Nature owns this stretch, and it can shut it down whenever it wants. There are no lights, no buildings, no phone signal, just you, the road, and the slow memory of fire. If you ever want to test your driving skills and your pulse, Skardu Road in northern Pakistan is where you go. Stretching through the Karakoram Mountains, this road links Gilgit with the town of Skardu, and in between lies one of the most brutal drives in the world. The path is narrow, carved directly into the rock face, and clings to the side of the mountain like it's just barely holding on. There are no guardrails, the edges crumble easily. On one side, the wall looms close enough to scrape your mirrors. On the other, there's a vertical drop straight into the Indus River. Add in unpredictable weather snow, rock slides, and sudden fog, and you've got a road where every turn feels like it could be your last. What makes Skardu Road especially difficult is its constant change. Landslides frequently block the route, sometimes for days. Patches of the road can vanish entirely. Yet it remains one of the region's most vital arteries, used daily by locals, supply trucks, and daring tourists. Drivers often have to stop, assess a crumbling section, then crawl across it at walking speed, hoping the rocks beneath their tires hold together just a little longer. There are stories of travelers getting stuck for hours behind trucks unable to pass narrow gaps, or of entire convoys reversing half a mile to find a wider spot to maneuver. In dry weather, the dust blinds you. In wet weather, the road turns to paste. Either way, there's not much margin for hesitation. Skardu Road demands patience, focus, and a bit of courage. It's not just a way to get from one town to another, it's a trial by stone, water, and gravity. If you're looking for silence, you'll find it on Alaska's Dalton Highway, the kind of silence where your own engine sounds too loud. This road runs more than 400 miles from Fairbanks to the oil fields of Prudhoe Bay. And most of the way, you'll see nothing but tundra, mountains, and sky. It was built to support the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, not to welcome tourists. And it shows. Only about 100 miles of the Dalton are paved. The rest is gravel, dust, and ice depending on the season. In winter, which lasts most of the year up there, temperatures plummet deep below zero. The road becomes a ribbon of ice, slick and unforgiving. In summer, rain creates long stretches of slippery mud. Either way, it's treacherous. And if you break down, help isn't just around the corner. There are no gas stations for over 200 miles in parts, and cell service is mostly non-existent. Truckers dominate this highway, roaring past in massive rigs that throw up clouds of gravel and snow. One cracked windshield and you're lucky. If you skid off the road, there are no guardrails, and it could take hours before anyone notices. There's wildlife too, moose, bears, and wolves, and they cross when they want. Not when it's convenient. What's most unsettling is how quickly the Dalton can switch from calm to chaos. 1 minute it's quiet and still, and the next, a snow squall drops visibility to zero. If the wind picks up, it feels like your vehicle might lift off the road entirely. The scenery is stunning, but it's the kind of beauty that doesn't care whether you survive it. Now let's head far south to a road high in the mountains of the Philippines, the Halsama Highway. It winds through the Cordillera Central mountain range, connecting Baguio City to the remote provinces in the north. It's scenic, yes, but this isn't a calm mountain retreat. It's a road where fog rolls in fast, landslides are common, and there's barely enough space to pass in many areas. The pavement varies wildly smooth 1 minute, broken and crumbling the next. Guardrails, where they exist, are often flimsy. And visibility? It's not rare to find yourself driving in thick clouds where you can't see more than a few feet ahead. Local buses, known as monster jeeps, charge around tight corners with confidence built more on habit than logic. Meeting one of those face-to-face on a narrow bend is a daily gamble. During the rainy season, large portions of the highway can get washed out, or simply vanish beneath landslides. Recovery crews do what they can, but the mountain decides the pace. And if you're driving without local knowledge, it's easy to find yourself on a stretch of road that suddenly dips into gravel, or ends in a pothole big enough to take out a wheel. Despite all this, the highway is full of life. People live, work, and move along this road every day. But it's not a place to drop your guard. It's easy to get lulled by the mist, the pine trees, the cool air. Then the fog thickens and you're suddenly aware of just how high up you are and how close that edge really is. Some roads dare you with heights or weather. Taiwan's Taroko Gorge Road dares you with the mountain itself. Officially part of the Central Cross Island Highway, this route cuts straight through marble cliffs, snakes past waterfalls, and dives in and out of tunnels carved directly into the rock face. It's narrow uncomfortably so, and most of the way, there's just enough room for 2 cars to pass each other. Buses and trucks also share the road, which makes every blind turn feel like a lottery. Add in motorbikes weaving between lanes, and you've got a full house of chaos in motion. There are tunnels where the roof drips water from the rock above, and corners where the only thing between you and the gorge below is a low stone wall. Rain turns things worse. The cliffs surrounding the gorge are steep and unstable, and rock slides aren't rare. Warning signs mark falling rock zones, but if you see rocks tumbling, it's already too late. Some of the tunnels aren't lit, and some don't have barriers. 1 second you're in a dark hole, and the next you burst into blinding daylight over a cliffside curve. The Taroko Gorge is breathtaking in more ways than one. You'll want to look around, but on this road your eyes need to stay forward. Nature doesn't just surround the road, it's constantly trying to take it back. And yet, people drive it every day, either for the challenge, the scenery, or simply because it's the only route to the other side. Back into the cold now, and deep into eastern Siberia, where the Kolyma Highway runs over 1,200 miles from Magadan to Yakutsk. It's known as the Road of Bones, not because of myth, but because of the dark history buried beneath it. But we're not here to dwell on the past. We're here because it's still one of the toughest and most dangerous winter roads on Earth. In the coldest inhabited region on the planet, this road becomes a frozen gauntlet for anyone who dares to drive it. Winters here aren't just cold, they're brutal. Temperatures can dip to -60 Fahrenheit. Metal becomes brittle, tires stiffen. Breathing the air can burn your lungs if you're not prepared. And this road stretches through hundreds of miles of absolute nothing. The pavement isn't consistent. Much of the route is dirt or gravel, and in the warmer months, it turns into thick mud that can trap trucks for days. In winter, it becomes an icy ribbon flanked by snowbanks and forests. Get stuck, and your biggest enemy isn't time, it's temperature. Engines freeze. phones don't work. There are long sections without any settlements. But strangely, this road is still active. Locals, delivery drivers, and adventurers all take it. In the dead of winter, there's even an ice road section that cuts directly across frozen rivers, usable only for a few weeks before the thaw makes it deadly. There's a strange calmness to the Kolyma Highway. The landscape is silent, vast, and beautiful. But make no mistake, it's a road that tests not just your vehicle, but your ability to stay calm in the most extreme kind of isolation. At first glance, Romania's Transfiguration Highway looks like something out of a fantasy movie. Surrounded by the towering peaks of the Făgăraș Mountains, the road zigzags through dense forests, past waterfalls, and up toward the clouds. But don't let the beauty fool you, this isn't a scenic route you relax on. It's a twisting, unpredictable climb that's as dangerous as it is mesmerizing. Built in the 1970s under harsh conditions and intense pressure, the highway was meant as a strategic military route through the Carpathians. In typical Transylvanian fashion, the road doesn't rise gently. It switches back sharply with hairpin curves that stack on top of one another like coils of a sleeping snake. Some bends are so tight you can see your own taillights if you look over your shoulder. The weather is its own opponent. It can shift from sunny to stormy within minutes. Dense fog rolls in fast, swallowing the road until visibility drops to just a few feet. Rain turns corners into slip zones, and in colder months, snow can fall suddenly even when the lower roads are clear. Black ice hides in shadowed turns. And guardrails? In many places, they're little more than decorative. Drivers come from all over Europe for the challenge, drawn by the reputation, the legends, and maybe the fact that the road was once declared the best driving road in the world by a famous British car show. But even expert drivers admit this is a road you don't conquer, you survive it.
This jaw-dropping image shows the unmatched hustle of Indian railways. Passengers cling to the train's sides, sit on the roof, and even stand precariously on the front. It's not just transportation, it's survival. This chaotic yet fascinating scene captures the sheer determination of its commuters. Here's another stunning display of how Indian trains push the boundaries of possibility. Every inch is claimed, whether on the roof, the sides, or the steps. It's more than a commute, it's a way of life. Remarkably, this isn't rare but a daily reality for millions braving the rails to reach their destination. What's next? This overloaded truck is a masterpiece of audacity and balance. Stacked sky-high with sacks, it wobbles precariously as it navigates urban roads. One wrong move could spell disaster, but drivers here are no strangers to such feats. It's a daring display of ingenuity, but how far can it push its limits? Let's find out in the next jaw-dropping scene. This overloaded tricycle is a marvel of human grit and determination. Cardboard, bags, and goods tower above the rider, threatening to topple at any moment. With one pushing and the other pedaling, they make teamwork look effortless. It's ingenuity on wheels, proof that where there's a will, there's a way. Packed with cheerful passengers, this boat seems to defy the laws of physics. There's barely an inch of space left as it glides across the water. While the mood is joyful, one can't help but wonder, how much is too much? These brave riders trust the river and their captain, hoping for a safe journey. But just how far can they stretch their luck? This photo seems like a scene from a nightmare, or perhaps a daring attempt to defy nature itself. A ship overflowing with passengers leans dangerously close to a cascading drop. Was this a celebratory cruise gone wrong or an overconfident captain pushing the limits? Either way, the sheer number of people packed on board is mind-boggling. Could this moment have truly happened? Or is it just a visual trick? Whatever the answer, it leaves us on edge, literally. In the Philippines, scenes like these aren't rare. They're part of everyday life. Whether it's school children perched on the roof or passengers hanging onto the back, jeepneys defy every definition of capacity. These vehicles carry not just people but also their goods, dreams, and resilience. It's chaotic, colorful, and utterly Filipino. Every ride tells a story, and this vibrant tradition keeps the nation moving. This overloaded car at a gas station is a snapshot of ingenuity meeting necessity. Passengers perch on the roof and cling to the sides, while the vehicle itself groans under the weight of goods and people. In many parts of Africa, this is a daily reality, a testament to making the most out of every available ride. Who needs a bus when you've got a trusty Jeep and some determination? In true resourcefulness style, this overloaded ride is a masterpiece of teamwork and optimism. Forget seatbelts. The real skill here is finding a spot to cling on to, It's chaotic, it's wild, but hey, it's India. Need a lift? Just hold tight and pray. Why use trucks when you've got a horse and sheer determination? This overloaded cart is piled so high it could rival a skyscraper, with passengers casually perched on top. The horse? Unfazed, it trots along like a true professional. It's not just transportation, it's an urban legend in motion. The question is, how does it not topple over? Only this fearless team knows the secret. In Afghanistan, overloaded jingle trucks are more than transport, they're lifelines. Piled high with goods like tires and sacks, they seem to defy physics on rugged mountain roads. Vibrant hand-painted designs turn each truck into a moving artwork, reflecting pride and tradition. Skilled drivers navigate treacherous terrain daily, balancing massive loads with precision. These trucks are a testament to Afghan resilience and resourcefulness. In sub-Saharan Africa, trains like this are more than transport. They're vital connections for people and goods. With passengers clinging to roofs and sides, these scenes highlight the overwhelming demand for affordable travel. It's a risky journey, but for many, it's the only option. Smiles and waves from the roof tell a story of resilience, community, and the daily struggle to move forward, no matter the odds. This is the reality of Indian train travel. Every inch of space, from the floor to the luggage racks, becomes a seat. Passengers sit, stand, or squeeze wherever they can, enduring hours of cramped conditions. Yet, there's a quiet resilience in their faces. A daily battle for a spot on the lifeline of the nation. In Vietnam, motorbikes are the ultimate workhorses, carrying everything imaginable, including enormous loads like these coils of tubing. This driver expertly maneuvers through bustling streets, balancing a precarious mountain of cargo. It's a daring feat of skill and ingenuity, proving that no load is too big for Vietnam's two-wheeled wonders. From oversized styrofoam boxes to towering stacks of goods, Vietnam's motorbikes are the ultimate multitaskers. This rider, balancing a mountain of lightweight yet bulky packages, epitomizes the daily hustle on the country's bustling streets. Here, no cargo is too unconventional to transport. Carrying massive steel hoops, this motorbike defies logic. Strapped carefully yet precariously, the load turns the humble bike into a towering spectacle. Vietnam's streets may be narrow, but the determination to move such oversized cargo is boundless, and so are the solutions. The streets come alive with splashes of color as a rider transports giant rolls of vibrant plastic tubing. With every twist and turn, the motorbike feels like a mobile art installation, proving that even in the chaos, there's room for creativity and practicality. As night falls, a motorbike adorned with a cascade of balloons takes center stage. It's not just cargo, it's a show on wheels. This rider's journey reflects the resilience and ingenuity found across Vietnam, where every trip is both a challenge and a celebration of human adaptability. On this stretch of road, two overloaded vehicles steal the show. A car and a truck, each carrying passengers perched on roofs and clinging to sides, make for a daring combination. It's a scene of shared ingenuity. Every inch of space is used. This iconic image captures the sheer intensity of train travel in Bangladesh. Passengers cling to every available surface, roofs, sides, and even the front of the engine. For many, it's the only way to commute during festivals and holidays. It's chaotic, yet it symbolizes unity and determination in every journey. This motorbike takes cargo hauling to the extreme, stacked with an almost comical amount of styrofoam boxes. The rider is barely visible beneath the towering load, making it a balancing act worthy of applause or concern. It's not flashy, but it gets the job done, no matter how precarious it looks. This Thai pickup redefines max capacity, with stacks of colorful crates piled impossibly high. Secured with ropes and sheer optimism, it's a rolling tower of cargo. The lone spare tire hanging on adds a touch of comedy, and maybe a bit of hope. It's a feat of daring ingenuity, but let's hope the road ahead is smooth. This motorbike carries an unbelievable load of woven baskets, almost entirely hiding the vehicle underneath. As it teeters down the road, it's clear that the only thing holding it all together is experience and a bit of luck. It's a scene of determination, common on African roads, where necessity meets innovation. Just down the same road, another overloaded vehicle takes on a new challenge. Tons of bananas stacked on every inch of its small car frame. It's a precarious load that looks ready to burst, but somehow stays intact. The contrast between the two vehicles highlights the creativity in using whatever's available to transport goods. Not far behind, a van covered with colorful grass huts and passengers on top takes the concept of a mobile home to the next level. It's a festival on wheels, blending practicality and cultural significance. Together, these vehicles paint a vivid picture of life on African roads, resourceful, vibrant, and unstoppable. This van seems determined to defy the laws of physics. With mattresses, buckets, and even a spare wheel strapped to every available surface, it's a rolling inventory of someone's life. Despite the chaotic arrangement, it all somehow holds together, proving that with enough rope and creativity, anything is possible. Nestled in a rural landscape, this car seems to redefine overloading. It carries a staggering stack of firewood, towering precariously over its brightly painted body. The dedication to transporting essential fuel for cooking and warmth speaks volumes about resilience, even if safety takes a back seat. This tricycle isn't just a mode of transport, it's a mobile party. Packed with joyous children waving and cheering, the rider seems unfazed by the sheer number of passengers. This image encapsulates the vibrancy and community spirit of daily life, where limitations are merely challenges to overcome. Piled high with sacks nearly bursting at the seams, this old sedan transforms into a modern-day packhorse. On dusty roads dotted with grazing sheep, this scene captures a relentless determination to move forward, even when the vehicle itself seems on the verge of collapse. Crammed with everything from bananas to grain sacks, this truck braves bustling market streets with a mountain of goods, and a few passengers perched on top for good measure. It's a vivid portrait of local ingenuity and the sheer grit it takes to make commerce thrive, no matter the constraints. In the bustling streets of West Africa, vehicles are often redefined as mobile lumberyards. One pickup truck, bravely teetering under an impressive tower of firewood, seemed to be on a mission to supply every stove in the neighborhood. With physics on the brink of rebellion, one wonders if the driver took a side job as a wood sculptor. Perhaps there's an untapped Guinness record for most precariously loaded truck. Meanwhile, in a rural market, a humble Peugeot stood proudly, not as a car, but as a sugarcane fortress. The driver perched confidently on his new throne of harvest, probably considering a part-time gig as a lookout. With locals gathering around, it's clear that this setup doubles as a vehicle and a community conversation starter. And then, there's the banana cyclist. Armed with determination and a bike that defies all structural expectations, this hero of the dirt roads navigates with bundles of green bananas larger than the bike itself. With such ingenuity, who needs a delivery van? Let's just hope he's not expected to make sharp turns. This image highlights the determination of African workers. A trio pushes a cart stacked high with colorful mattresses, showcasing teamwork and strength. The vibrant colors reflect the energy of the market, while their effort embodies resilience. Despite the towering load, the men work together seamlessly. Their unity turns a daunting task into a display of persistence and collaboration, capturing the spirit of hard work. This photo captures the sheer magnitude of transport ingenuity in rural Africa. A massive truck, heavily laden with a towering tarp-covered load, cruises along an arid road. Two passengers sit nonchalantly on top, seemingly unfazed by the precarious setup. The image underscores a mix of bold resourcefulness and risk-taking. It's a common scene on African highways where practicality often overrides safety concerns. This image encapsulates the essence of resilience and practicality. A woman on a motorbike carries an impressive load of firewood, an everyday task turned into a display of sheer determination. The juxtaposition of modern transportation with traditional labor is striking, showcasing a world where necessity drives innovation. Imagine a gathering so massive it can be seen from space, a place where faith and sheer human density collide. Welcome to the Kumbh Mela, a Hindu festival held every 12 years at 4 sacred riverside cities in India. It's not just a religious event, it's a logistical marvel and a feat of human endurance. During the 2013 festival in Allahabad, over 30 million people gathered in a single day. Yes, you heard that right. More than the entire population of Australia crammed into one sprawling, chaotic space. The energy is electric. Devotees wade into the holy Ganges to cleanse their sins, saffron-clad sadhus lead processions, and pilgrims jostle for every inch of space. Makeshift tents become neighborhoods and food stalls form streets, but overcrowding brings risks too. In 1954, a stampede killed hundreds. Still, the Mela remains a testament to humanity's drive to unite under a shared belief, no matter the challenges. It's mesmerizing, chaotic, and absolutely unforgettable. If there's ever been an event that redefined crowded, it's Woodstock. In August 1969, a small dairy farm in Bethel, New York, became the epicenter of counterculture and chaos. Organizers expected 50,000 attendees, but as the festival unfolded, over 400,000 music lovers swarmed the site. Imagine traffic backed up for 20 miles, makeshift camping grounds stretching into the horizon, and people spilling out of every conceivable corner. Attendees braved the heat, rain, and famously muddy fields to witness acts like Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin in an atmosphere thick with peace, love, and music. Supplies ran out, sanitation became a joke, and yet, there was an unspoken unity among the masses. The spirit of togetherness outweighed the discomfort. This wasn't just a concert, it was a movement that echoed the dreams of a generation. But as we leave the 60s behind, let's trade those muddy fields for a glittering New Year's Eve spectacle in the heart of Manhattan. Fast forward to the cold, glowing streets of Times Square on December 31st. Every year, about 1 million people pack into this iconic spot to watch the ball drop. Think about it. Shoulder-to-shoulder crowds filling the streets with no personal space in sight, braving freezing temperatures for hours, sometimes over 12, just for that magical moment of countdown euphoria. The energy is palpable, a sea of party hats, confetti, and light-up glasses, all under the glittering kaleidoscope of digital billboards. You can hear 1,000 languages being spoken, as tourists from every corner of the globe join locals to ring in the new year. Sure, finding a bathroom is impossible, and the smell of hot dogs mixes oddly with the frigid air, but no one seems to care. It's one of the most intense gatherings on Earth, and while this kind of density can feel overwhelming, it pales in comparison to the daily controlled chaos of Tokyo's Shibuya crossing. Welcome to the busiest pedestrian intersection in the world, where order somehow thrives within chaos. Shibuya crossing is not just a crosswalk, it's a marvel of human coordination. Every day, up to 3,000 people surge into the intersection during a single light change. Imagine streams of people flowing from every direction, weaving seamlessly through one another without collisions. It's like a living, breathing work of art, set against the neon jungle of Tokyo's skyline. The energy here is unmatched. Office workers power walk to meetings, tourists pause mid-intersection for the perfect selfie, and the air buzzes with the sound of chatter, car horns, and jingles from nearby stores. Despite the overwhelming foot traffic, there's an unspoken rhythm that keeps it all moving. It's a place where humanity's adaptability shines. In December 2004, Bangladesh set out to achieve something remarkable. A human chain so massive it would stretch across the country and into the Guinness World Records. And they did just that. Imagine this. More than 5 million people joined hands, forming a continuous line that spanned 620 miles from Teknaf in the south to Tentulia in the north. The participants represented a unified voice, a statement against corruption, but the sheer logistics of assembling this many people on a single day were staggering. Roads were lined with villagers, students, activists, and professionals, all dressed in vibrant colors and holding hands under the winter sun. It wasn't just a gathering, it was a living, breathing chain of human willpower and determination. Helicopters buzzed overhead to capture aerial views, revealing an unbroken ribbon of humanity that snaked through cities, farmland, and open highways. And yet, even in this immense gathering, there was a shared purpose that transcended the chaos. The record-breaking event wasn't just a political statement, it was proof of how people, when united, can create something utterly awe-inspiring. Dharavi, nestled in the heart of Mumbai, is not just a slum, it's a pulsating microcosm of life, energy, and struggle. Spanning just over 0.8 square miles, this teeming labyrinth is home to over 1 million people, making it one of the most densely populated areas in the world. That's roughly 700,000 people packed into a space smaller than Central Park in New York City. Narrow lanes snake through the settlement, flanked by makeshift homes stacked precariously atop one another, forming an unending maze of tin roofs, tarpaulin sheets, and wooden planks. Yet within this chaos lies a surprising order. Small-scale industries churn out pottery, leather goods, textiles, and even recycling services, contributing millions to the city's economy. The human density here is staggering. Entire families live in cramped spaces smaller than most closets, with little more than a thin partition separating one household from the next. The air buzzes with a cacophony of sounds, children shouting, machinery humming, and street vendors bargaining. Despite the unimaginable overcrowding, there's a resilience and sense of community that holds Dharavi together. Strangers lend a hand, neighbors share food, and amidst the dire living conditions, life somehow thrives. Dharavi serves as both a sobering reminder of the housing crisis in urban centers and a testament to human adaptability. By the way, Dharavi is among the most densely packed places on Earth, But it's just the beginning. Imagine cities and districts where the sheer crush of humanity defies imagination. From astonishingly cramped capitals to urban jungles bursting at the seams, stay tuned and prepare to dive into the most overcrowded corners of the world. Welcome to Manila, a city that takes the concept of crowded to a whole new level. With over 1.85 million people packed into just 16.56 square miles, its population density soars to an almost unimaginable 111,000 people per square mile. To put that in perspective, it's like squeezing the entire population of Atlanta into an area smaller than your neighborhood park. The streets of Manila are an unending stream of life. Jeepneys overflowing with passengers, vendors cramming every corner with their wares, and children playing basketball in the few open patches of land they can find. Even the tiniest alleyways are transformed into bustling micro-communities, with people cooking, eating, and living within inches of each other. Despite this overwhelming density, there's a vibrancy that Manila wears proudly. From the neon-lit karaoke joints to the markets where the aroma of sizzling street food mingles with the chatter of traders, the city is alive in every sense of the word. Yet there's also a sobering side. Overcrowding brings challenges like housing shortages, traffic gridlocks, and a constant battle for resources. Families often live stacked on top of one another in shanties, making every square foot a lifeline. If Manila is crowded, Mumbai takes things to another level. Often called Maximum City, Mumbai is a melting pot of dreams, opportunities, and an ocean of humanity. With over 20 million people packed into an area of 233 square miles, the density here can reach up to 73,000 people per square mile in some neighborhoods. In districts like Baikula and Parel, sidewalks double as makeshift homes, while local trains, designed to carry 1,700 people, often swell to over 4,000 passengers during rush hour. It's a daily dance of squeezing, pushing, and somehow finding space to breathe in the chaos. Yet, Mumbai thrives on its relentless energy. From Bollywood film studios to the financial hub of Dalal Street, the city is the beating heart of India's economy and culture. It's also a tale of contrasts. Towering luxury apartments share borders with sprawling slums like Dharavi, where the streets buzz with entrepreneurial spirit despite the cramped living conditions. Mumbai is both overwhelming and inspiring. A city where space is scarce, but dreams seem infinite. From Mumbai's vastness to the labyrinthine lanes of Indian Chandni Chowk, the shift feels almost cinematic. Nestled in Old Delhi, Chandni Chowk isn't just a market, it's a sensory overload. A mere 1.5 square miles houses an astonishing number of vendors, shoppers, and residents, creating an ever-buzzing hive of humanity. This historic hub was once a grand Mughal boulevard. Today, it's a maze where rickshaws squeeze through gaps barely wide enough, and traders shout over the din of traffic and bartering. Every corner here feels alive. The aroma of freshly fried parathas and jalebis mingles with the scent of incense wafting from centuries-old temples. Chandni Chowk isn't just crowded, it's a feast for the senses. But the density brings challenges, from choking traffic to a constant jostle for space. Yet the charm is undeniable. It's a place where time seems to stand still, holding on to its historic essence even as modern Delhi rushes past it. The Kola super deep borehole was never meant to be a door to anything. It started as a scientific project in the Soviet Union, a mission to drill as deep into the Earth's crust as possible. They wanted to study what lay beneath, push the boundaries of geology, and maybe even get closer to the Earth's mantle. What they found, however, was something that made even the most skeptical scientists uneasy. The drilling began in the 1970s in a remote part of Russia's Kola Peninsula. The deeper they went, the stranger things became. At first, the drill hit temperatures far higher than expected, nearly 350 degrees Fahrenheit at about 7.5 miles down. Rock should have been solid at that depth, but it acted strangely, almost as if something was shifting beneath the surface. Then came the noises. During one of the deep drilling phases, workers reported hearing strange sounds coming from the borehole. At first they dismissed it as equipment noise or seismic activity, but the deeper they drilled, the louder it became. The sounds didn't resemble the usual groans of shifting rock or underground tremors. They were different. They were voices, echoing, distant, almost human yet distorted and unnatural. Recordings were taken. Those who listened described it as an overwhelming mix of wails and desperate screams. Some refused to work on the project after that. They said it felt as if the ground beneath them was alive, something watching from below. Rumors spread fast. People whispered that the scientists had reached the very edge of hell itself, that they had almost broken through and let something out. The official reports dismissed the sounds as geological phenomena, the result of pressure changes or rock fracturing, but those explanations didn't sit well with everyone. If that were true, why did some engineers refuse to speak about what they had heard? Why were there sudden funding cuts and secrecy surrounding the last phases of the project? Eventually, the borehole was sealed. The project had been abandoned, citing technical difficulties and excessive heat. Some say it was because the drill bits kept breaking. Others believe it was because they had found something no one was ever supposed to find. Beneath the pyramids of Egypt, a hidden world stretches far below the sand. Archaeologists have mapped out tombs, burial chambers, and passageways carved thousands of years ago. But some tunnels defy explanation. They don't connect to tombs, temples, or treasure chambers. They simply go nowhere. One such tunnel was discovered beneath the Pyramid of Menkaure in Giza. It extends for hundreds of feet, its walls smooth, its path deliberate, yet it leads to a dead end. No artifacts, no inscriptions, no sign of why it was dug in the first place. Another lies beneath the Great Pyramid, an almost perfectly straight passage sealed off at both ends. Attempts to send robotic cameras inside have been met with technical failures and unexplained malfunctions. Who built these tunnels and for what purpose? Some theorists believe they were escape routes, others say they hid something never meant to be uncovered. But here's the real question. Why were they sealed so deliberately, almost as if someone wanted to ensure that whatever was inside would never see the light of day? If that wasn't strange enough, similar tunnels have been found across the world, in places where ancient civilizations supposedly had no contact. And that brings us to Turkey, where an underground city was discovered completely by accident. A man in Turkey was renovating his home when he knocked down a wall in his basement. Instead of bricks and mortar, he found a dark passageway stretching far beyond his property. At first he assumed it was an old storage area, but when he ventured inside, he realized it wasn't just a room, it was an entire city buried beneath the earth. Derinkuyu is one of the largest underground cities ever found. It has multiple levels, stretching over 200 feet down, complete with ventilation shafts, water wells, and massive stone doors designed to seal off entire sections. Thousands of people could have lived there for months, maybe years, without ever needing to surface. But why would an entire civilization choose to vanish beneath the ground? Theories range from ancient wars to cataclysmic disasters, but some details don't add up. The tunnels are too precisely cut, the air circulation too advanced for a simple hideout. Some chambers appear to have been built for something other than living. Spaces too large for comfort, staircases leading nowhere, doors sealing off sections that seem empty. What were they really hiding from? And why does this underground city resemble the strange, forgotten tunnels beneath the pyramids? Maybe there's a connection, one lost beneath centuries of stone and secrecy. And speaking of things that shouldn't exist, let's move to Texas, where a wall buried underground has baffled scientists for years. Beneath the soil of Rockwall, Texas, a discovery was made that shouldn't exist. Workers digging for a well in the 1800s struck something solid. Massive stone blocks stacked neatly, stretching deep into the earth. At first they thought it was the ruins of an ancient fort, but as they continued digging, the structure didn't stop. It went deeper, wider, forming what looked like an enormous buried wall. The formation is made of enormous stones, some weighing several hundred pounds, fitted together with unsettling precision. Some of these blocks have what appear to be carvings or tool marks, as if shaped by human hands. But here's where things get strange. Geologists say the rock is natural, supposedly formed over 100 million years ago. If that's true, then how did these stones align so perfectly? And why does it stretch for miles beneath the ground? Some believe it's the work of an ancient forgotten civilization. Others insist it's a natural phenomenon, an oddly symmetrical freak of nature. But then there are those who whisper that something else is at play, that we're looking at evidence of a lost history we were never supposed to uncover. And speaking of lost history, let's move to the ocean, where an entire sunken continent was discovered beneath New Zealand. For centuries, New Zealand was believed to be nothing more than a series of islands in the Pacific. That changed when scientists began mapping the ocean floor and found something astonishing. Beneath the waves, stretching nearly 2 million square miles, was an entire sunken landmass. They named it Zealandia. Unlike Atlantis, this wasn't just a myth or a legend. The landmass is real. Its mountains and valleys now submerged miles beneath the ocean's surface. What's even more bizarre? This continent was above water millions of years ago. meaning it could have once supported life. The idea that an entire landmass, nearly the size of India, could sink and be completely forgotten by history is unsettling. If there were civilizations on Zealandia, their ruins would now be hidden deep beneath the ocean floor. What structures could be buried there? What artifacts have yet to be uncovered? It's a mystery that remains unsolved, and with much of Zealandia inaccessible, we may never know what secrets lie beneath. But let's shift from lost continents to something even more bizarre. Tracks in the Nevada desert that look like they were left before humans were even supposed to exist. In a remote section of Nevada, footprints have been found that don't make sense. They look human with clear impressions of toes and heels, but they're millions of years old, long before modern humans were supposed to exist. Even stranger, some appear to be wearing shoes. One of the most famous examples is a fossilized footprint found in rock that's over 300 million years old. The print is shaped like a modern shoe sole, complete with a distinct tread pattern. How could this be possible? Humans weren't even a concept at that point in Earth's history, so who or what left these tracks? Geologists have tried to explain them as unusual natural formations, but the patterns are too precise, too deliberate. If they truly are footprints, it would rewrite everything we know about history. Could they belong to an unknown prehistoric species? Or is it evidence of something even more unsettling? That someone or something walked this planet long before we did. From impossible walls to sunken continents and footprints that shouldn't exist, these discoveries challenge everything we thought we knew. But the deeper we dig, the more the past refuses to stay buried. The Atacama Desert in Chile is one of the driest places on Earth, a barren wasteland where rain rarely falls and life struggles to survive. But buried beneath its cracked surface, something deeply unsettling has been uncovered. An ancient burial site, unlike any other. Archaeologists expected to find simple graves, the kind left behind by early civilizations. Instead, they uncovered elongated skulls, twisted remains, and burial positions that didn't match any known cultural practices. Some bodies appeared contorted as if they had died in agony. Others were arranged in patterns that no one could explain. Even stranger, the soil itself seemed different. Local legends warned that this place was cursed, that those who disturbed it would suffer. Researchers who spent too much time near the site reported strange headaches, dizziness, even hallucinations. Instruments malfunctioned. Radiation readings were higher than normal, yet there was no sign of a natural source. Some believe this was a ritual burial site, a place where the dead were left to appease something, or someone. Others suggest it was an ancient quarantine zone, where the sick were left to die. But the real question is, why was it buried so deliberately? Who or what was never supposed to be found here? It started as a routine excavation, scientists digging for soil samples in a remote field. But a few feet down, their shovels struck something unexpected. Rows upon rows of strange, tightly wrapped bundles. At first they thought it was old waste, but the deeper they dug, the clearer it became. These weren't ordinary sacks. Some looked torn, revealing something unsettling inside. I think you can guess what might be inside, but who buried them here? And why? Drop your theories in the comments. Deep in the mines of South Africa, something was unearthed that defies explanation. Perfectly shaped metallic spheres, some with grooves carved around them, buried in rock that's over 2.8 billion years old. These small, smooth orbs, now called the Klerksdorp spheres, are composed of a mysterious metallic substance, far different from the surrounding rock. Some are hollow, while others are filled with an unknown mineral. The most unsettling part? Their nearly perfect symmetry, something nature rarely produces on its own. Scientists have tried to explain them as natural formations, possibly the result of volcanic processes or mineral concretion. But if that were true, why do some of these spheres have precise parallel grooves etched into their surface, as if someone or something deliberately carved them? The idea of intelligent design is troubling because the rock layer where they were found dates back billions of years, long before humans, long before even the most primitive known life forms. This discovery led to theories ranging from ancient advanced civilizations to objects left behind by an unknown species. Some even speculate they could be remnants of a lost technology, something so old that all traces of its creators have been wiped from history. The spheres remain locked away in museum collections and research facilities, but their existence poses an unsettling question. Are we really the first intelligent species to walk this planet? If something like this was found deep underground, what could be waiting for us beneath the ocean? This brings us to the waters off the coast of Portugal, where divers stumbled upon something impossible, an underwater pyramid. The Azores, an isolated archipelago in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, has long been surrounded by legends. Some claim it was once part of Atlantis, a lost civilization swallowed by the sea. But in 2013, something was discovered that turned myth into mystery. A massive pyramid-shaped structure resting on the ocean floor between the islands of São Miguel and Terceira. A local sailor first detected it using sonar. The shape was unmistakable. A four-sided pyramid, with its peak nearly 130 feet below the surface. It seemed too perfect to be a natural formation. When researchers investigated, they found that the base of the pyramid covered an area larger than a football field. The angles were sharp, the structure precise, as if it had been deliberately built. Here's where things get even stranger. Historical records suggest the Azores were uninhabited until the 1400s, when Portuguese explorers first arrived. If that's true, then who built the pyramid? Some theorists believe it could be the remains of a prehistoric civilization, one that existed before sea levels rose and swallowed entire land masses. Others suggest it could be linked to Zealandia, the lost continent buried beneath New Zealand's waters. But there's another possibility. What if the pyramid isn't ancient at all? Some reports suggest its surface is too smooth, too well preserved, leading to speculation that it could be something else entirely. A base, a beacon, something that was never meant to be found. If the ocean is still hiding structures like this, what else could be buried beneath the waves, waiting for someone to dig just a little too deep? A strange object was found near Olancha, California in 1961, something that seemed to be a manufactured device encased in rock. 3 rock collectors searching for geodes cracked one open and discovered what appeared to be a spark plug buried inside. The artifact, now called the Coso artifact, had a metallic core, a ceramic-like casing, and a hexagonal shape, features that closely resemble a modern spark plug. But there was one huge problem. The rock in which it was found was estimated to be at least 500,000 years old. If that dating is correct, it means this object was buried long before humans had any known technology, before civilization itself. How could a human-made object have ended up inside ancient rock? Some argue that the dating was wrong, that the rock may have formed around the object due to natural processes, but even that explanation raises questions. How did something so precise and artificial become embedded in a solid stone? Others suggest a more unsettling possibility, that the Coso artifact is evidence of an advanced civilization that existed long before recorded history, a species that may have reached a technological peak, only to be wiped out by time, disaster, or something unknown. And then there's an even wilder theory. What if the object wasn't made by us at all? Could it be a remnant of something, or someone else? The Coso artifact remains one of the most controversial discoveries in archaeology. It has vanished from public view, with some claiming it was misplaced, while others suggest it was hidden on purpose. Was this an ancient out-of-place object, an elaborate hoax, or proof that history is far more complicated than we believe? If objects like this can be buried for 500,000 years, what else is waiting to be discovered? And that brings us to another mysterious find, one made of pure gold and shaped like something that shouldn't have existed 1,500 years ago. Buried beneath the jungles of Colombia, archaeologists uncovered small gold figurines unlike anything they had ever seen. These ancient relics, part of the Quimbaya treasure, were crafted around 1,500 years ago by the Quimbaya civilization. Most of their artifacts resembled animals, people, and deities, things you'd expect from an ancient culture. But among them were a handful of objects that looked eerily familiar to modern eyes. These small golden figures had aerodynamic shapes, tails, wings, and upright stabilizers. Some had delta-shaped bodies like modern fighter jets. Others had curved, streamlined features that seemed designed for flight. Experts at first assumed they were stylized birds or insects, until model makers built scaled-up versions and discovered that they could fly. With the right proportions, replicas of these artifacts became functional aerodynamic models, something that should have been impossible for an ancient civilization with no known knowledge of flight. So what exactly were these objects? Some believe they were symbolic representations of mythical creatures. Others think they could be evidence that the Quimbaya people had knowledge of aerodynamics long before the first aircraft was ever built. But then, there's the theory that these aren't representations at all. Maybe they were models of something real. Were these golden objects based on actual flying machines that once soared over the jungles of South America? Mainstream archaeology dismisses the idea, but the resemblance is undeniable. Were the Quimbaya people inspired by something they saw in the skies, or did they simply create objects that coincidentally resemble modern aircraft? If the answer is the first option, then the real question is, who or what was flying those machines? In 1974, a group of farmers in China's Shanxi province was digging a well when they hit something solid. At first, they thought it was just another rock, until they cleared away more dirt and saw a face staring back at them. A face made of hardened clay, frozen in time. They had no idea that they had just stumbled upon one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in history, the Terracotta Army. What lay beneath their feet was far beyond a simple collection of statues. As excavation teams arrived, they uncovered thousands of life-sized warriors, each one unique, with different facial expressions, armor, and weapons. The soldiers stood in formation, protecting something or someone. Soon, researchers realized they were guarding the tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. But there was something unsettling about the site. The deeper they dug, the more they realized that the tomb itself remained untouched. Ancient texts warned that the emperor's burial chamber contained rivers of flowing mercury, traps designed to kill intruders, and secrets that were never meant to be uncovered. The Chinese government, taking these warnings seriously, decided not to open the tomb, leaving its contents hidden beneath the earth. To this day, no one knows what truly lies inside. Could there be more than just an emperor's remains beneath the surface? Some believe that deeper within the tomb, untouched chambers hold unknown artifacts, lost knowledge, or something even stranger. The mystery remains, and the emperor's final resting place continues to guard its secrets, just as it has for over 2,000 years. And while some discoveries are too dangerous to explore, others have been preserved naturally, hidden underwater for tens of thousands of years. Off the coast of Alabama, a discovery was made beneath the waves, an entire ancient forest preserved for 60,000 years. Hidden beneath the seafloor, it had remained untouched since the last ice age, a time when this part of the ocean was dry land. It wasn't until a hurricane stirred up the seabed that divers got their first glimpse of what lay below. What they found was stunning. Massive cypress trees, their trunks still intact, their wood so well preserved that when cut, it still released the scent of fresh sap. This wasn't just driftwood, this was a fully preserved prehistoric forest, complete with root systems, logs, and stumps exactly as they had been thousands of years ago. Scientists believed that the forest was buried in sediment and protected from decay, only to be revealed now due to shifting ocean currents. But here's where things get eerie. The trees aren't just dead fossils, they're teeming with life. Bizarre, unknown species of marine creatures have made the submerged forest their home, some of which have never been seen before. Could this sunken landscape hold more than just ancient trees? What else might be lurking in a place that has been sealed away for so long? A lost world hidden for millennia, suddenly exposed for the first time in human history. But some things that were buried should stay buried, like the mummified remains found deep beneath the city of Guanajuato. In central Mexico, beneath the city of Guanajuato, lies a crypt filled with bodies that were never meant to be unearthed. In the 1800s, a cholera outbreak swept through the region, and bodies had to be buried quickly. But years later, something terrifying happened. When workers began exhuming graves, they found the corpses were not decomposing. What they uncovered was horrifying. The mummies' bodies were shockingly well preserved, their skin dry and leathery, their features frozen in expressions of terror. Some of the corpses had twisted mouths, wide eyes, and contorted limbs, as if they had died in unimaginable pain. But the most disturbing theory? Some of them might have been buried alive. This discovery led to the creation of El Museo de las Momias, a museum dedicated to the Guanajuato mummies. Visitors have reported feeling an overwhelming sense of unease when looking at the remains. Some claim they've seen the mummies shift slightly in their glass cases. Others say they've heard faint whispers echoing through the halls. Whether it's the power of suggestion or something far stranger, one thing is certain: these mummies were never meant to be disturbed. Buried beneath an English field for over 1,300 years, the Staffordshire hoard was never meant to be found. In 2009, a man with a metal detector uncovered something glinting in the soil. What he found was the largest collection of Anglo-Saxon gold ever discovered, over 3,500 pieces of finely crafted weapons, armor fittings, and mysterious golden artifacts. But the real mystery is why it was buried. There were no coins, no complete objects, Only fragments, as if the hoard had been deliberately broken before being hidden. Was it an offering, a betrayal, a last-ditch attempt to protect something powerful? No one knows who buried it or why they never came back for it. Even today, many of the pieces remain a puzzle. Some designs seem almost too advanced for their time. Could they be remnants of lost knowledge or something even stranger? Whatever the truth, one thing is clear. Someone wanted it to stay hidden. That's about it. Write in the comments which find surprised you the most. For more useful information, watch other videos.